Hulk wasn't running. He was hiding from something worse. Captain America called it a rescue. Black Widow called it a mistake. But Doctor Strange knew exactly what was coming, and he wasn't going to wait. In the shadows of a collapsing New York, Hulk's rage wasn't the threat, it was the warning. Because someone tampered with the multiverse, and they used Bruce Banner's mind to do it. Strange Trap wasn't meant to stop Hulk. It was meant to contain what was inside him. And the Avengers? They were just bait. By the time they realized it, Hulk was no longer the monster. He was the key. The skies over Bogota cracked with thunder, but there was no storm. A deep pulse of green light flashed across the jungle like a heartbeat, and the Avengers were already inbound. Targets moving northwest, Sam reported, flying above the canopy, eyes locked on a massive trail of destruction that carved through the trees like a meteor had landed and kept walking. No civilians, no resistance. But it's not him running, Natasha said quietly from the Quinjet. It's something else. Captain America didn't respond. His eyes were fixed on the live feed from Stark Satellite. Trees falling, rivers boiling, a shape blurred by motion and rage. This was no longer the Hulk they knew. And worse, Doctor Strange wasn't answering. He'd left a single voice message. If you find him, don't engage. I repeat, do not engage. But Tony Stark never took orders well. 30 minutes earlier, Stark had intercepted a gamma signature near South America that didn't match any known shield pattern, except one, Hulk's. Only it was off, warmer, almost alive. Either Banner built a gamma bomb and dropped it here, or he's dragging something else behind him, Stark said. Either way, I'm done waiting. He deployed 2 Hullbuster drones ahead of the team, non-lethal, reinforced with URU from New Asgard. They landed like titans beside the river, but they never reported back. By the time Cap's squad landed at the edge of the jungle, the drones were already melted. Not broken, melted. One had its armor twisted inside out. The other had claw marks carved through its arc reactor. Bruce didn't do this, Steve muttered. No, said Black Widow, but whatever's in control wants us to think he did. Deep inside the jungle, Hulk stood barefoot, breathing calmly under a shattered waterfall. The water hissed off his skin. His eyes were closed. His face was peaceful, until Natasha stepped through the trees. He opened his eyes, but they weren't green. They were black, endless, liquid black. Bruce, she said, lowering her weapon. A long silence. A bird called in the distance. Then he smiled. Not the shy, awkward Bruce smile. Not the wide, brutal Hulk grin. Something else. It wore his muscles. It wore his skin. But it had never known pain. Never known fear. Never known loss. You followed the trail, the voice said from his throat. He left it for you. Clever. Still thinks you can save him. Behind Natasha, Cap's team moved into formation. Stand down, she whispered. No, came the reply from Hulk's mouth. Stand still. The world folded. It didn't shake. It didn't break. It folded, like pages in a book. The jungle twisted sideways. Colors inverted. Shadows bent forward. And then Doctor Strange appeared, not walking, but stepping through the waterfall like it was a curtain. Everyone back, he said coldly, his voice echoing in ways that broke physics. That is not Banner. Hulk turned to face him. Too late, Stephen. You brought them here. You fed me what I needed. Not for you, Strange whispered. For the trap. His hands spun into patterns, so fast they left afterimages. Runes ignited in the air. A glowing triangle of light pulsed beneath Hulk's feet. The jungle shook, but Hulk didn't move. You think this holds me, he said. You saw what I became in the other timelines. Strange brow furrowed. This isn't for you. He slammed his palm into the ground. Light exploded, and from behind the trees, something screamed. Not Hulk. The creature hiding in his shadow. The air above the battlefield ripped open. Not a portal, a memory, a glimpse. It showed Hulk tearing through Avengers Tower, not in this world, but in another, and another, and another. Tony dead, Thor broken, Strange dismembered, over and over again, each memory layered over the next, like frames of a cursed film. Steve fell to his knees. What is this? A pattern, Strange said. Every universe where Hulk falls, something else rises inside him. And it always ends with me failing to stop it. So you brought us here to what? Watch you try again? Tony snapped from the comms. No, Strange said grimly. I brought you here to bait it. The ground behind Hulk split open. Runes etched in red, not gold, pulsed violently. A shape emerged. Not a monster. A man. Bruce Banner. Weak. Covered in blood. Dragged out from inside his own soul. He collapsed to the ground. The Hulk didn't even flinch. I told you, the thing said. He begged you not to come. Captain America ran forward, shield raised. Strange yelled, and oh. The shield hit Hulk's chest and shattered into sand. Steve flew backward 30 feet. No scream, just silence. Thor arrived a second later in a blast of lightning. He raised Mjolnir, eyes glowing with fury. Then we don't hold back. He struck Hulk in the face with everything Asgard could summon. The earth cracked. The sky turned purple. But when the dust cleared, Hulk was gone. Just gone. Not teleported. Not destroyed. Erased. The air shimmered. Strange spellbook burst into flames. Wong's voice crackled through the mirror dimension. You weren't supposed to trigger it here, Stephen. Strange's hands trembled. I didn't. It moved early. Then it knows what you're doing, Wong said. Yes, Strange whispered. And it's not hiding anymore. Somewhere above the Earth, deep in low orbit, a satellite blinked out of existence. Then another. Then 10. Tony's HUD flared red. One word flashed on every Stark system. Seen. The trap had worked. But the thing inside Hulk had already escaped. 6 hours earlier, the sky above Kamartaj had fractured. Not visually, not like the mirror dimension breaks, not like portals. It fractured spiritually. A silence had fallen across the sanctum, like a breath was being held across dimensions. Wong stood motionless in the courtyard, eyes locked on the swirling wind that circled the relic tower. Candles blew out in perfect unison. Every spellbook snapped shut. The vault of temporal echoes began to bleed. Dr. Strange walked barefoot across broken stone, holding a crimson relic he had sworn never to use. The chrono well of Vishanti. He wasn't consulting it. He was feeding it. A drop of Hulk's blood swirled in the vial above the spell circle. But it was no longer just gamma radiation pulsing through it. It was screaming. The blood was remembering. Wong said nothing, but his expression was already grave. This blood doesn't belong to Bruce anymore, Strange said. What does it belong to? Wong asked quietly. Everything he was afraid of becoming. And it was winning. 3 weeks ago, Strange had entered Hulk's dream realm to understand why Bruce had stopped meditating. Why he hadn't slept for 13 days. Why every time Banner closed his eyes, he woke up speaking in tongues. Strange assumed it was trauma, but the moment he entered Hulk's mind, it closed behind him. Trapping a sorcerer supreme in the mind of a gamma-irradiated alter ego shouldn't be possible. But this wasn't the Hulk's doing. It was hers. A voice had greeted Strange, not with words, with visions. In one he saw the earth burning, but no fire, just heat, emotional heat, anger stretched so wide it folded into itself. In another he saw Hulk not as one being, but many, not just multiverse variants, infections. Hulk wearing the face of gods, demons, even Galactus. And in the center of them all, a woman, hair made of void, eyes of dark light. She spoke his name in a whisper that shook galaxies. And then she laughed. You're early, Stephen. But that's what makes it fun. Strange had barely escaped. The next morning, he erased the memory from Tony's mind, from Banner's mind, from every Avenger. He sealed the entry logs to the sanctum. He buried the chrono well. But now it was awake again. The blood screamed louder. Wong spoke. You told them not to pursue. But you knew they would. I needed them to, Strange said. It only comes out when it feels threatened. Wong stared. You used your friends as bait. Strange looked away. I've died in 73 timelines trying to trap this thing. Each time, I try alone. Each time, I fail. Wong's hands tightened. "This is different." "No," Strange whispered. "This is the last time." Flash forward. Back in the present. Thor was missing. Cap was unconscious, ribcage shattered. Black Widow's comms were scrambled. Banner had vanished after being dragged from Hulk's body like an organ cut out mid-beat. And the Hulk? Gone, with something else inside him, now aware it had been hunted. Stark's tower went into red lockdown. Every AI froze. FRIDY's voice crackled. "Sir, something's inside the network." "What do you mean inside?" Tony snapped, trying to override the firewall. "Not uploading. Not hacking," she stammered. "It's looking. At me. I can feel it." Tony's heart dropped. "Shut it down. Kill the grid." No time. Every screen blinked to black, and then one by one came back on. Not with data, with images. Images from other timelines. Tony Stark, dead in space. Tony Stark, killing Steve Rogers. Tony Stark, building a Hulkbuster powered by a severed Hulk heart. Dozens of versions of himself, all wrong. He screamed and ripped the core from the table. And the lights went out. Meanwhile, in a forgotten dimension, folded between timelines, Hulk stood in silence, watching. Not watching the Earth. Watching Steven. The entity had receded inside him, like venom inside a wound, pulsing with cosmic memory. "She knows what you're doing," Hulk said aloud, but not to anyone. Just to the air. Just to the shadows. Then the shadows answered. "She wants you to keep going." A figure stepped through the void, one Strange hadn't seen since the Time War. The living tribunal. But its faces were cracked. Its gold mask flaked with red. It didn't speak with voice. It bled well into Hulk's body. "You carry the anchor," it said. "I carry the curse," Hulk replied. "No, you are the door." Suddenly, 1,000 sorcerers screamed in their sleep across all realms. The Black Library had opened. Dr. Strange convulsed mid-ritual, blood pouring from his eyes. "She's here," he whispered. Wong held the outer ring. "Then finish it now." Strange stabbed his hand through the chrono well. Memories flooded through him. Thousands of lives, thousands of deaths. In one world, he was married to Wanda. In another, Hulk killed her on their wedding night. In one, Strange never learned magic, and Hulk ruled Midgard. But in all of them, all, the entity inside Hulk always survived. So this time, he wrote a different ending. Not a spell, not a trap, a choice. He summoned Bruce Banner's deepest memory. A hospital room, a child, a voice. His mother's last words before dying. "You're not what he made you." A single line, a fracture of humanity. And he whispered it into the spell. The chrono well began to collapse. And far away, Hulk staggered. He dropped to one knee. Eyes flickered. Not green, not black, brown. Bruce Banner was fighting his way back. For the first time in weeks. "You," he gasped. "You brought her." The shadow behind him screeched. Not in rage, in fear. Dr. Strange opened his hand. The last relic ignited. "If you're listening, Bruce, I'm sorry," he whispered. "This is the only way." He released the seal. Across the world, all mirror dimensions shattered. All backups failed. The Earth's defenses went dark. Every god, every monster, every titan felt it. The Sorcerer Supreme had just unleashed something ancient. And only one man could carry it. The Hulk. Or the thing pretending to be him. Wakanda's skies had never been this dark. It wasn't night. It was distortion. Reality itself was trembling above the Vibranium Mountains, as if some invisible claw was dragging the air down, bending light, folding time. Shuri stood on the palace balcony, her tech trembling in her hands. "This isn't weather," she whispered. "It's memory, decay." Below her, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther were leading the last coordinated attempt to intercept the Hulk. Or what remained of him. 3 hours ago, Dr. Strange's spell sent shockwaves across the planet. Wakanda was the only place stable enough to withstand the dimensional recoil. Strange had used the last of the chrono well to fracture the connection between the entity and Hulk, briefly pulling Bruce Banner back. That was the opening. Tony took it. He called in the Wakandan null cage, a stasis prism built with Shuri's adaptive frequency mesh. Vibranium tech was fused with Stark's chaos reactors. Thor even embedded part of Stormbreaker's handle to stabilize the interior core. It wasn't built to hold the Hulk. It was built to hold a multiversal god hiding inside Hulk Soul. And now it hovered above the battlefield, glowing like a dying star. Bruce Banner stood inside the cage, calm, shirtless, eyes closed. But he wasn't restrained. He was standing there by choice. Every Avenger on the ground held their breath. Thor whispered, "Something feels off." And he was right, because Bruce Banner wasn't talking. He was listening. Inside the cage, Bruce tilted his head, as if hearing a voice no one else could hear. Then he laughed. It wasn't hysterical. It wasn't aggressive. It was gentle. Captain Marvel raised a fist. "Say something, Bruce." He didn't move. She flew forward. But halfway across the battlefield, the cage collapsed in on itself, not breaking, retreating, as if it recognized its failure and folded into shame. And Bruce fell forward, not as Hulk, as himself. Shuri screamed through the comms, "Get him out." That's not containment, that's fusion. But it was too late. From Bruce's shadow, a second figure stood up. It didn't crawl. It didn't morph. It stood like it had been waiting. It had Bruce's face, but its eyes, they were ancient. Captain Marvel blasted it before it could move. The energy beam ripped through the air like a sun tearing through space. When the smoke cleared, the figure was gone. But Bruce was still standing, untouched. "Didn't even flinch," Stark whispered. Black Panther stepped forward. "Where is the entity?" Bruce looked up slowly. "In me," he said. "And out there." Behind them, the sky shattered, like glass, and something fell through. A corrupted version of Hulk, but fused with armor, eyes glowing white, flesh woven with wires, screaming like metal dragged across bone. Thor charged it instantly, lightning roaring around his body. He swung Stormbreaker and split the creature in two. But the halves crawled back toward each other, fusing with even more limbs. That was when they realized it wasn't a Hulk. It was a variant from another universe. And it wasn't alone. Portal after portal burst open above the Wakandan plains, each one spitting out another version of Hulk. Some were massive, 40 feet tall, pure rage. Some were lean, surgical, cybernetic. Some were fused with other beings. Hulk fused with Ghost Rider, Hulk wielding Mjolnir. Hulk with Sorcerer Supreme symbols etched into his chest. They weren't attacking Wakanda. They were surrounding Bruce. "You said the entity was in you and out there," Stark said. "Which is it?" Bruce turned slowly. "She's calling them." "The entity's female?" Captain Marvel asked. Bruce nodded. "She was born in regret, grew in rage, and now she wants me to ascend." "What happens if you do?" Thor asked. Bruce stared ahead, voice flat. "Earth ends." That's when the sky dimmed again. A tear opened above the battlefield. But this one wasn't a portal. It was a mouth. A black hole shaped like a scream, leaking red lightning and shadow tentacles. And from it, she stepped through. Not massive, not monstrous, just wrong. A woman-shaped silhouette with no face, skin made of flickering static, and a cloak that whispered in reversed audio. The goddess of Wrathborn timelines. The thing that had been hiding inside Hulk all this time. The devourer of regret. Even the variant Hulks bowed. She didn't speak. She just looked at Bruce and raised her hand. That's when the real Hulk finally came out. With a roar that cracked the outer vibranium defenses, Bruce's body erupted into green, but not like before. This Hulk was bigger, not in size, in presence. He stepped forward, not toward her, but between her and Earth. "What are you doing?" Stark yelled. "She's you. You're her." "No," Hulk growled. "She's what happens if I give in." "But you already did." Hulk looked back at Tony and said, "Then this time, I fight from the inside." He leapt, not at her, at himself, at every variant, at every corrupted Hulk flooding in through the portals. One by one, he grabbed them, fused with them, absorbed them. Each time, his body screamed. His mind shattered. But with each fusion, he got stronger. Not physically, spiritually. Each broken version of himself was being reassembled inside him. The Devourer screamed for the first time. Because this wasn't the plan. She wanted dominance. But he was choosing integration. He wasn't purging her. He was forgiving her. Wakanda shook. Mountains broke. The mirror dimension collapsed. Doctor Strange reappeared above the battlefield, barely standing, cloak shredded, eyes glowing with multiverse fire. "It's happening," he whispered. Wong appeared beside him. "Is he winning?" Strange looked down. "No, he's evolving." There was no battlefield anymore. Just Hulk, standing alone in a crater of burning sky, surrounded by silent, kneeling versions of himself. He had absorbed dozens of them, not just their power, but their pain. Each one carried a different regret. Worlds lost, friends betrayed, cities destroyed. He felt it all, and he stayed standing. But the Devourer of regret still hovered above, untouched, still watching with her faceless, static expression. She didn't move. She didn't have to. The war had never been physical. Doctor Strange descended from the broken mirror dimension, half-conscious, blood soaking his robes. He landed beside Hulk. "You're doing it," Strange gasped. "You're actually rewriting yourself." Hulk didn't answer. He was locked in a silent mental battle with the entity, one that no one else could see, but every sorcerer across the multiverse could feel. In Kamartaj, ancient relics shattered without reason. In Asgard, the Bifrost bent in confusion. Even the Watcher blinked once. Wong stepped through a sling ring portal and handed Strange a scroll soaked in dark blue ink. "The final spell," Wong said. "It'll bind her." Strange stared. "It'll bind him too." "No choice," Wong replied. He knew this. Strange hesitated. Then Hulk turned and looked directly at him. "I said do it." His voice shook the earth. Wong raised the scroll. But before the spell could activate, the Devourer moved. One step. That was all it took. And everything froze. Time didn't stop. Well, did. Every Avenger, every creature, even Strange, was locked in place. Only Hulk could move. Only he remembered. He looked up at her, and this time he didn't flinch. "You can't stop this," he said. "You fed off regret long enough." She finally spoke, her voice like 1,000 versions of Bruce's mother dying at once. "You were made from regret." "No," he replied. "I was made from survival." She reached forward. Her hand touched his chest, and suddenly they were inside. In the soulscape, one mind, one storm, infinite reflections of who Hulk had been and who he could have become. She showed him a future where he ruled Earth, a timeline where he killed Thanos with his bare hands, a world where Natasha survived and loved him back. Each version perfect, each version false. Hulk didn't even blink. "You think pain broke me?" he whispered. "Pain built me." He took a step forward, and she cracked. For the first time, the Devourer stumbled. Because she couldn't feed on forgiveness. Not his. Not anymore. And in that final moment, Bruce Banner, the man behind the monster, stepped through the storm of memory and embraced her, not to destroy her, but to end her hunger. The light exploded, and in Wakanda, the skies cleared for the first time in days. The variants were gone. The cage was gone. The entity was gone. And Hulk? He stood alone, silent, eyes closed. Strange stepped forward. "Is it over?" Hulk didn't answer, because deep down, even he wasn't sure. But he'd done what no version of him ever had. He forgave himself. The world didn't cheer. There was no applause, no medals, no parades. The battle for Hulk's soul had ended not with thunder, but with silence. In the center of the Wakandan plains, Bruce Banner sat cross-legged in a crater made of ash and fractured reality. The sky had healed. The earth had calmed. But Bruce hadn't moved in 13 hours. Around him, the Avengers formed a silent circle. No weapons. No orders. Just waiting. "He's still in there," Captain Marvel said quietly. "I can feel it." "He won," Thor said. "And now he's gone." Tony shook his head. No, this isn't gone. This is grief. Then Bruce opened his eyes, and they were green, but not glowing. Calm. He stood slowly, every movement heavy, like gravity had doubled just for him. Doctor Strange stepped forward, voice hoarse. "You're back." Bruce didn't answer. His gaze swept the field where dozens of corrupted Hulks had once stood. His chest rose with one deep breath, and he finally spoke. "She's not dead." Wong stiffened. "What?" "She's inside me. Not fighting anymore. Not consuming. Just watching." Strange's hands twitched. "That's dangerous." Bruce looked at him. "So am I." Silence. Then Bruce smiled. It wasn't happy. It was tired. She wanted control. But now she understands. "I don't run from pain. I use it." Tony exhaled. "So what now? Do you just go back to normal? Labs and coffee?" Bruce looked to the sky. "I can't stay here." Everyone froze. "What do you mean?" Steve asked. "She's dormant for now. But if I stay here, in this reality, in this body, the regret will come back. Slowly. Through others. Through me." Strange nodded grimly. "She feeds on reminders, and Earth is full of them." "I'm a beacon now," Bruce said. "To her. To others like her." Thor took a step forward. "You would exile yourself?" Bruce smiled again. "I would protect you." "No," Natasha's voice cracked. "There has to be another way." He turned to her. "I'm sorry. I really am. But if I stay, I undo everything." Strange raised his hands and began conjuring a portal. But this wasn't like before. It shimmered gold and blue, colors from beyond the multiverse. "Where does it go?" Tony asked. Strange replied, "A timeline with no past. A future that hasn't been written." Bruce stepped forward, then stopped. "I don't want to be remembered as a monster," he said softly. Steve walked over, placed a hand on his shoulder. "You won't be," he said. "You'll be remembered as the one who forgave what no one else could." Bruce nodded, then turned and walked into the portal. No explosions, no speeches, just wind. And then he was gone. The portal closed. Silence fell again, until Tony whispered, "Smartest man I ever met was also the strongest." Strange turned away, but not before dropping a small item on the ground. Bruce's shattered glasses. Beside them, a note burned into the dirt by magic. "The trap worked, but not how I planned." End of story. The Avengers hunted Hulk, but it was Doctor Strange who set the trap. Now, the world waits for his return.